Good day and welcome. My name is Fondas and today we are doing the Axellent Gaming Show.
Hi, and I'm the DandyBanterer, today's co-host as usual. And we have a guest today, and I would like to introduce Mierage to the lot of you. Hi there, Mierage.
Hi there, how are you doing?
A bit hot, it's very warm today. Sitting very close to a window with a black curtain and feeling slowly melted away by it.
Yeah, it is quite hot and quite humid here, but we'll struggle through it.
We'll do especially for your entertainment.
Did the Hobbit show up and throw a ring into your room, or is it not that hot yet?
It's not that hot yet. Also, he doesn't have any use for being here. It's not allowed. No hobbits allowed here.
Yeah, I think they had the same sign up in Mordor. It didn't work. I don't specifically remember it in the books or anything, but I wouldn't be surprised. You know,
They had a sign up saying hobbits not allowed.
Exactly, hobbits with rings not allowed.
Specifically, hobbits with rings.
Exactly,
not allowed.
metal detectors in front of the black gates.
Wasn't the whole purpose of the ring to go to Mordor? It's a bit odd if you then have signs all around saying hobbits and rings.
True, but I guess that might just have been sort of like a sort of a law thing, you know, like sort of a legislation thing, so that in case hobbits do pass the gate and they do fuck things up, they can then sue them afterwards. It's the government of Mordor can at least sort of
there's an orc lawyer just going around suing hobbits.
Exactly.
Right.
Like that's the future of Lord of the Rings. Like that's, you see all the glorification in the end, and you go like, oh yay, we won, and then they get sued their asses off.
Well, that's a different ending then. So, it has been a while since our last episode, be it a couple of months.
3 months exactly.
3 months?
Yeah,
3 months. So this man counted it. Did you wait? Did you have to wait that long? Did you just say, Fondas, let's do it?
I've been crying a little bit in my sleep every night. But a lot has changed since then.
It has. Indeed, DandyBanterer and I are now living in an apartment together temporarily.
On a non-romantic note, mind you.
On a non-romantic, no homo.
No homo.
In a lovely little city. So that indeed has changed. So, to put the focus on our guest a little bit again, how has your week or weeks been, Mierage? What has happened in your life that you would like to share?
I've been a bit of hermit as of late.
A bit of a hermit?
I'm finishing this semester, so even when the weather was all nice and it was all nice and hot and stuff outside, I was in my room studying, reading, studying, writing stuff. Yeah, basically from when the sun rises till sun goes down again.
Right, so you're just focusing on schoolwork and finishing off your term. How's your week been, Dandy?
How's my week been?
Yes.
My week has been busy, particularly busy. I'm currently finishing up the last project I'm working on, and that is stressful as usual. Since that's sort of the final couple of weeks in a project is usually sort of the moment where everybody goes like, kill me now, and then you end up smiling, in front of sort of a presentation. You go like, oh, everything went smoothly, sir. You paid for nothing other but perfection. So yeah, that's my development life. And other than that, it's all right. I mean, it's been nice weather. We've had a couple of drinks. Just explored the city a little bit at nightlife, which is quite nice. And
we did indeed explore the city, and we found our lovely little pub that we made like our home pub right now.
Absolutely.
Which is it's nice to have such a thing again.
It is absolutely nice to have such a thing again.
Just a place to go and take a couple of beers and know that it's going to be fun.
And how about you, Fondas? What have you been doing? Other than the drinking, because we already covered that.
Yeah, we already covered that part. Well, I have been doing work, basically. I've been programming, finishing my Make a Wiki project. and doing so while being mostly coffee induced, and have been not been enjoying the weather as of late with all the rain. But other than that, I did a nice bike ride this week as well, which I enjoyed very much.
Yeah, you can hear the quality level of our gaming show conversations that we're talking about the weather.
Well, I mean, isn't the weather a theme currently in Europe?
Now, I think in Europe there's a different theme going on right now. Like, I don't think that the weather is
that's
very...
well, that's what Brits. We don't talk about that. They've been written out. They're not part of us anymore. Yeah.
So,
It is a shame.
I realized we forgot something to start the show off with, and my deepest apologies, Mierage, but we didn't introduce you, and I would like to ask you to introduce yourself at least, and tell us what you do. You know, what's your life like?
Yeah, I'm ex-classmate of yours. We did art game school together, and currently I'm studying philosophy and teaching Krav Maga. Basically, that's what my life's been for the past months.
And to clarify, Krav Maga is
Israeli martial art.
all right. So you're a philosopher and a martial artist.
Yes, I like to think of myself as a the warrior monks from Japan. You know,
Excellent. We got.
they think a lot, but they can punch you in the face as well when thinking doesn't work anymore. So.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the quality of guests that we have on this show here. We have martial arts monks here, which incidentally have ninja-like skills. So, all right. Well, Fondas, please take us away.
So, on the gaming side of things, there has been happening something, and that something takes the shape of E3. A number of companies, as well as, of course, the major companies like Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, and other game development studios have announced a couple of projects. Some, like Sony, took a bold statement in just providing gameplay trailers. Others had presentations that had guests and guests of guests and guests of guests of guests come to talk to people. And of course a few revelations with which we as gamers are looking forward to. So, just to start off with a very simple question to all three of us: what is the most awesome thing that you experienced from E3? Like this is the announcement or the thing that stood out for me most. And I'll begin with you, DandyBanterer.
All right. Zelda! Oh my god, there was so much Zelda to experience. Oh yeah. I put on my special bathrobe and I lay myself down on the bed with my laptop on my lap, and I just let all the Zelda come all over me. You know, it was just amazing. There's been so much reveal finally of that of Breath of the Wild, and being a huge Zelda nerd myself, it was such a pleasing experience because we knew nothing about this game. Absolutely nothing. And the one thing that a lot of people were afraid of, seeing how Nintendo has developed games of late, is that, you know, it was going to be another sort of Zelda rehash based on Ocarina of Time, and, you know, it was probably going to try to focus a lot on story like they've been doing in the past, and would probably be an okay Zelda experience, you know? Like, there's nothing like a Zelda experience, but an okay Zelda experience, albeit is still being a very good game, is low on quality. And all of a sudden they came out and they nailed the open world part of it. They nailed the whole fantasy experience of it, and I'm just really super excited, and I feel like a fucking idiot for not owning a Wii U because of this. So maybe an NX, but by the time it comes, I'll be sure to get it, damn it.
So the main unique thing about this new iteration of Zelda is that it's going to have an open world. Or a more open world than other Zeldas have. So,
yes. But the funny thing about it is, like, the first Zelda ever made, Legend of Zelda, was exactly that. It was an open world, RPG-like game with minimal story, where you just went out and explored the world as it came to you, and as such, you discovered what was going on. And they sort of went back to the original roots in that regard. And it's not like this is the first open world Zelda ever made. That's absolutely not the case. This is arguably the second to even the third open world Zelda ever made. And what is going to be very much new about this is the fact that we finally have modern technology to make these worlds come alive. And there is going to be so much more atmosphere going on than just, here are a couple of moblins, kill them for rupees. Like they've taken away the entire idea that if you kill things, that you will get hearts and rupees back for them. You can't cut down grass to obtain items that are randomly put there. They've put it back to the idea of, right, if you kill an enemy, you get to gain either something that was on them, like if it's a monster or something, they may be their weapons. And if you get to kill an animal, you might be able to sort of harvest it for meat so you can cook with it later. And cooking gives you hearts. Like you can't find random hearts anymore in the game. And that is such a fresh addition to the game, because that's usually always been sort of the reason why it was way too easy. Health pickups were everywhere.
Right, so basically the whole resource management of the RPG aspect has been implemented more. It's taken away the simplified version of just having hearts, just having a single weapon that you can pick up and forever use.
Right.
And they've implemented way more RPG elements into that, in which there's in classic RPG you have the inventory system, and you have ways to produce different kinds of health containers.
Yeah.
All right, so that's very interesting. Zelda going Skyrim.
And the main thing that got me super excited is just the whole general idea is that you can walk out into the world. You're not forced to wear anything. So you just walk out butt naked and, with a big axe, and you can beat your enemies, with their arms. You can rip their arms off and beat them with it. Not like in a God of War sense, but just the fact alone that is an element in the game is just so super exciting. It's so not Zelda. I guess I could rant on for this for a while. So please stop me.
What?
I'm curious. So how did the other open world Zelda games relate to the narrative? My experience with open world games is that the open world is very fun, but you sort of forget what the story is all about after a while. And I'm not a player of Zelda games, but I get the idea that narrative plays quite a role within the Zelda games. So my question to you, DandyBanterer, do you think the narrative will suffer because of the focus on more of the sort of Bethesda RPG elements and the open world?
That's a good question, and to answer your first part of it, in the past, like let's take the very first Zelda. The story of it was very simple. You start the game and you get to her. Princess Zelda is kidnapped. You have to save her. Then you start in the middle of a field and you got nothing, and you just go for it. And there's like hardly any story whatsoever. Some NPCs that you talk to have some scribbles of texts which relate to nothing other but their identity, maybe. And the whole story is basically the gameplay experience that you're having of being, an adventurer out in the open and going through dungeons, and in the end you fight a big baddie and then you save Princess Zelda and she's like, thank you, and that's it. But with other Zelda games, and I believe that a lot of these Zelda games have sort of an open world quality to them, specifically the Wind Waker as well, particularly the Wind Waker. But they just open up very gradually, like sort of you have 3 dungeons usually, and then after 3 dungeons, the whole world opens up for you to explore at your own pace. Yeah. And usually the dungeons were sort of the chapters of the Zelda story. So going into a dungeon was usually done by a mission. You have a reason to go there to get whatever thingamajig, to, whatever your MacGuffin reason to go into that dungeon. And then once you finish that, you fight a boss, and at the end of that, there's usually a bit of story released because of that, and that puts you on track to carry on as you please. And in this Zelda, at least what we know is that part of it is done by NPCs in the field. Like one of the first things that Link does is he walks out of sort of his, the Skyrim-esque, open world experience, is that there's an old man sitting somewhere, and he's just walking towards a sort of a bit of a campfire, and that sort of attracts your attention. You can walk towards him and then talk with him, and he gives you sort of an introduction of, hey, you're Link. Oh my God. I've been waiting for you for 10,000 years or something like that. And that sort of sets you on to the quest. But the other thing is also that you have sort of a tablet computer on you. And I know, right?
A tablet computer?
Yes. Yes, you have a tablet computer on you. Because basically the Zelda is all about the crossover between technology and fantasy worlds. So you're not going to sort of get on sort of a flying space epona or something. Like, you're not going to get there, you're not going to like a bike instead of a horse. But there will be sort of fantasy technological elements in the game, and the whole story is discovering, like, whole of Hyrule is in a post-apocalyptic scene, but after that, even like very post-apocalyptic, like, the grass grew back and all the buildings are in ruins, and there are sort of destroyed robots everywhere, and the question is, how did this happen, and what's your role in it? And the tablet that you start off with talks to you. So it's and even with voice, which is a unique addition to the Zelda games. And that sort of spurs you on, and it says, Link, you wake up, and it says, Link, you have to do things. And everybody's guessing that that's going to be a build-up either of Zelda or of a goddess or something that's steering you towards finally saving the kingdom again after whatever hundreds of millions and thousands of years has been abandoned. And apparently Ganon is in there too. So it's still going to be Link, Zelda, Ganon, and old-fashioned Triforce fighting. So that's as far as I know the narrative of the games is influenced and steered.
Okay.
So, yeah, I sort of feel very self-aware that I've been talking very much, so I would like to pass on.
Oh, this is okay. It's always excellent to listen to you. But sure, we can really pass on the torch, and I'm going to ask the same question to Mierage then. If there is something that really took your attention, then what was it of E3?
Your question sort of blurred out in the internet connection, but I assume you asked me what drew my attention on E3.
Yeah.
I took a look at games that were presented. What took my attention was Hideo Kojima with his intro and stuff that he showed.
Yeah, with his epic
so
intro.
that has my interest, but there's nothing concrete on that yet.
So what was the introduction of Hideo Kojima? Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, he did the Death Stranded. Is the name of his new project, and he's working with Norman Reedus, the actor from The Walking Dead. And basically, you have an introduction, of which he says was in real time 3D video.
Okay.
A very, very detailed beach with dead sea life. So you see a lot of dead crabs, and then we see a naked Norman Reedus. And you also see like handprints that fill themselves with oil walking towards him. And he's connected to a baby, and then he picks up the baby, and the baby disappears. But you see handprints of the baby on his skin afterwards. So, and then the camera pans out, and we see him from the back, and you see all these dead whales and other sea life stranded on the beach. So that's basically the video, which is very intriguing.
Yeah, and it's all sort of atmosphered by the very typical Hideo Kojima type of soundtrack underneath as well.
Exactly. And I was reading up on the video, and there was a lot of speculation. And apparently, he's wearing dog tags with quantum mechanics references on them.
Really?
So that's probably a theme. And he said afterwards, okay, this game is going to be more of a Metal Gear Solid game. If you have to make if you have to compare it, then a Silent Hills game. So that has my attention because I've been playing the Metal Gear Solid games with a lot of pleasure and joy whenever I get my hands on them. So I'm intrigued. Yeah.
Right.
And yes.
Yeah, and Hideo Kojima himself, I mean, what I saw of him, it was that he also had like a really epic opening, like the way that Sony introduced him. He was basically the only speaker for the entire Sony conference. And they introduced him, and the curtains went up, and an orchestra started playing.
Yeah.
And then he walked off the new stage.
With
digital,
neon lights.
Yeah, like digital stairs just unfolding in front of him. He's walking there like a bit like a nerd, just slowly walking off there. Like, hi guys, I'm back.
I don't. Did you notice that he was walking too fast?
Yeah, everybody noticed.
Didn't keep up.
Yeah. He walked the front.
But I guess that's because he might have been a little bit too sort of nervous about the whole thing. Like, it's not really his style to be that put into center place at something. I mean, he loves the attention. Don't get that wrong, but that level of sort of was probably really a Sony marketing thing. Fun. Look at us, we got Hideo Kojima,
and it worked. I mean, it worked. It was really cool to look at, especially because in the end, then you have Hideo Kojima just coming down like a big old nurse saying, "Hi guys, I'm Hideo Kojima. I'm back. This is my game. Enjoy."
Yeah,
and that's literally everything that he did. Like, hi guys, I'm Hideo Kojima. I'm back, and I enjoy my new game. Thanks, Hideo. Thanks.
Yeah, it was good. It was good to watch, indeed.
Yeah. Another thing that caught my eye is Days Gone By, which is basically it's another sort of zombie-styled survival game, but it doesn't. It's not portrayed in a city, but it's portrayed in the American Northwest, so Oregon, Washington State.
Is that the one with the mountain bikes?
I don't know.
Zombie hunters.
The main character.
Yeah.
I don't know. The video I saw, what interested me a lot was that the enemies they are actually swarms. So they swarm and they have certain behaviors. So they come through the window and stuff like that.
Ooh, that's scary.
Yeah, and they're fast. So they're not the mindless zombies. And what interested me is I saw an interview with the devs and they said, we created an ecosystem. So you have this open world, but it has a day-night cycle, and your enemies are also trying to survive. So they need food, and then they need shelter from the rain and the snow, stuff like that. So that's very interesting. And you're sort of a biker guy.
Right.
Stuff.
Right. So it is indeed with the bikes. I did see the trailer of it in the guys with bikes fighting zombies.
Yeah, bikers fighting zombies. Yeah, Sons of Anarchy fighting zombies. Yeah,
that did indeed look cool. Coincidentally, the thing that I was most interested in, maybe
yes, tell us what you were most interested in.
Maybe underrated. Well, it does have links with Days Gone By. Since what I was interested in was from Microsoft. Oh dear, I almost forgot the name. But also the zombie game that Microsoft came with.
Oh yeah, you showed that to me. Yeah.
State of Decay 2.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
I really enjoyed State of Decay. State of Decay being also a open world zombie game. Kinda story orientated. There's no online thingy to it. It's really story orientated. There's some cool mechanics in there in which you have to build your base and maybe sometimes move base and figure out what the zombie virus is. Now they're coming with State of Decay 2. Trailer looks cool. So State of Decay itself first was actually an experiment for Microsoft to do a sort of same open world multiplayer zombie apocalypse game. They made State of Decay as a test phase for that. Does their system work? And it was a single player game. So now I'm wondering if State of Decay is actually going to be an online open world game. But the trailer for it looks really good. It really got my attention. Since I do really like to play States of Decay the first.
All right, and if I may add one more thing of the things that really noticed or got my attention, I have to also just mention God of War 4 and the reveal of that. Hardly anybody was expecting it. A lot of people knew that the studio was making another game, because they can't do anything because that doesn't make them any money, and releasing sort of updated versions of the old God of War games is not particularly a good way of making money. And that game just looks gorgeous, and it really got my attention as well from sort of narrative level. Since you guys know Kratos, right?
Of course, and he looked really awesome with his beard in the trailer.
Exactly. and Kratos in the past has always been nothing more but a very angry guy. Like, that was his identity. He sort of fought a little bit with it, and they sort of tried to add drama in one of the sort of, off-spin adventures where his wife got killed and his daughter got, we don't care, guys. Like, this is not real actual drama because it doesn't really impact him all that much. She does appear every now and again in the game to sort of poke Kratos, but in the end of the day, you're just a very angry player. You're beating the shit out of gods, and successfully so. And then all of a sudden, this new game shows up, and Kratos is sort of he's a controlled older version of himself, and he has a son, and the fact that he sort of takes care of the son, but has this sort of emotional distance of the child is extremely interesting. Like, it's very, you could say like that's not very interesting because it's such sort of a gamer masculine type of approach to character design. But you see that he does have affection for the child, but just simply doesn't know how to out it or to show it. And that is such a sort of very deep personal connection between two people. And also that his son is a bit of a noob. Like he shoots his dad at some point with a bow and arrow when he has to kill a troll, and Kratos has to deal with the fact that his son is an actual noob, but he's training him to become a decent man. I just love that level of atmosphere. And also Santa Monica, the studio working on the game, has also announced that it's going to be a single shot game. So you start the game, there are going to be no cuts. All cutscenes are going to take place exactly after the moment that you did something in the game. And you're just going to experience one whole long story, without any scene introductions or any scene exits or anything like that.
Okay.
So that is going to be super fascinating from a storytelling perspective.
And that does indeed sound interesting.
So
sounds nice.
Yeah, God of War. Super excited about that one too.
Huh.
Oh yeah, and Nintendo also had a Pokemon game, but nobody gave a shit about that. Another Pokemon game. Thanks, Nintendo.
CD Projekt Red announced Gwent.
Come again?
CD Projekt Red announced Gwent.
They announced. We have a card game. Really, really, CD Projekt Red. We didn't know that. Please tell us more about your card game, which we can play in the game, incidentally. But yeah, I haven't. I don't know. Mierage, Fondas, have you read more about it?
Apparently it's gone free to play, so that's the thing.
Right.
So they're going to be available to everyone. They're now currently going up against the beta, which will be available in a couple of months. But the game itself is going to be free to play. It's going to come out on the PC and other digital devices. Other than that, it's going to be online. But other than that, there's not much available. You've seen a couple of cards. They're Gwent cards. I mean, there's not really anything to expect about that, other than that they're Gwent cards. Gwent being... Have you played Witcher 3, Mierage?
No, I haven't.
Alright. Beside the wrongness of your answer there.
I call bias.
It's fair. But still, Gwent is a card game played inside the Witcher universe in Witcher 3. They needed a new game from Witcher 2. Witcher 2 had a dice game, wasn't very popular. Gwent did it, sort of ditched it in, and became a very popular side game. So now they're coming out with a app like Hearthstone. We'll see what that brings us. Maybe they'll survive today. Maybe maybe not.
Yeah, who knows?
Have you found more information about Mass Effect Andromeda? Because I know that you might be interested in that. And I know there was some information on Mass Effect Andromeda in the E3.
And it's being searched right now.
And it's being searched right now.
Yeah, do you Mierage? I'm not that big of a Mass Effect nerd. So
They're delaying it to first quarter of 2017.
How do they dare?
Yeah.
And it seems that it did just announce a bunch of Mass Effect books, which I will definitely be looking into in preparation of Mass Effect Andromeda. But other than that, there's not really much more information available, other than there's a new trailer in which obviously a female variant of what is to be Shepard or Ryder is available to look at, and there seems to be some sort of brother-sister thing going on there. So speculations go that the main character may have either, if you're a male, that you have a sister, or either if you're a female, that you have a brother. And that's going to start off the dramatic story in what is to be Mass Effect Andromeda, the new galaxy.
Yeah, Andromeda Galaxy, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And apparently it starts off right before the end of Mass Effect 3. Since the Reapers invade, humanity is like, oh shit, AI is gonna root us out. You know what? Get the hell out of here. And they take their ARC ships together with a couple of other races and start heading towards Andromeda. More than that, there's not much known.
All right.
No, I haven't really researched it, mostly because, I've not been able to play any high-end games anymore on my PC, so...
you poor boy.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, which is the reason why I haven't played Witcher 3. But I'm looking forward to the new Mass Effect game. But
Mierage,
I'm what? Yeah.
Yeah, your connection is like lagging out. Sorry for that breakup there, but we are back. We were back conversing about E3, closing off and Andromeda.
Yeah, we had a little technical error there.
It's a little technical issue indeed, but it has been resolved for now, I hope. And you had a closing word about Andromeda, Mierage.
Yeah, I really like the Mass Effect games. I think they're I enjoyed them a lot because of the way the game works. I like those games, the style of play. But when I had Mass Effect 3, I bought the special edition. I was super psyched about it. And I played it, and then Origin happened, and I had to change accounts multiple times, change passwords. Account got stolen, and I couldn't play Mass Effect 3 anymore. And I was pretty pissed about that. So, if Andromeda is going to be released on Origin, I'm not going to play it.
Just because you're...
Unless there's a way to work around Origin.
Right.
Because of Origin, yeah.
Yeah,
maybe they improved that, but if that's going to be the case, then I'm not going to be playing it.
I couldn't really tell. I mean, it is interesting, but because I did take Origin, like EA Access is a new service that they have, in which they give you like a bunch of games if you give them. Well, I believe I gave them €3. You pay them like €3 a month to keep access to the games. But I just paid them €3 and I got access to like the newest Battlefield Hardline with all its DLCs, and I started playing that for a couple of weeks. So in that turn, EA did improve, in my view, a bit with their Origin. But Origin itself, you use it because you have to, not because you want to. And that has always been the case with Origin, I'm afraid. But yeah, it's when Mass Effect Andromeda comes out, I'll definitely take it. I'll definitely buy it. I'll play it for 80 hours straight, and I'll fanboy jizz all over it. I'm sorry, it's Mass Effect. It's my favorite game series.
Yeah. Are you going to do that live in your gaming channel?
Well, not the jizzing part.
Right. For those who don't know, together with JLP, Fondas has finally started his porn site as well.
Oh dear. Yes. The first adventure towards Red Light District coming on soon. No.
What was JLP's naming? It was like one pump.
2 second pump man.
Something like that. Yeah.
It's a 2 second man.
Pump action jizz gun.
That must be a thing somewhere in some dirty game. Oh dear.
Please don't link that in the comments. Or do. You know what? Do it. I'd like to play that, actually.
Why? Just action pop shotgun?
Exactly. That sounds like a great hentai game. Yeah, give me that. Hentai games are particularly famous for their narratives, because that's the only
absolutely
thing that other than sort of the boobs, that's the only thing they can really add to the idea. And a lot of these things are sort of, erotic sims, where people play through, and there's you have to like dating sims, but then with sex options, and so character development and personalities are very important. You wouldn't think that of that section, but it is actually quite interesting. I know this because I'm a writer. That's what this is inherent knowledge that all writers have.
It's also not called video game hentai, but visual novels.
Really, visual novels.
Yeah, that's a genre. It's very represented on Steam currently.
Really?
Yeah. The last 6 months they've really added tons and tons of visual, or rather, the Japanese market has discovered Steam and PC.
Right.
It's more the other way around. So they flooded Steam with tons and tons and tons of visual novels, and because people like it and play it, there's also American companies making them and putting them on Steam.
I'd like to work there. Please give me a job writing
for video game porn
novels. No, interactive novels, Fondas. There is a difference between the two, all right?
Sure.
It's not. This is not shameless smut that we're saying.
In one you get instant gratification, in the other you have to fucking work for it.
That's like real life. It's like a real life virtual simulator.
Dandy, why don't you make them yourself? I mean, you have a background in visual image production, so why don't you just write your own story? I mean, there is tons and tons and tons and tons of stock material used for those games. I mean, I think they all use the same sort of generator or builder, to create those games, because you just have like images and then you click and then there's text and then there's boobs.
And occasional penises. We don't have to distinguish between genders in this card. Sometimes there are also penises, and sometimes, because it is hentai, there are also sort of chicks with dicks. But that's wow. We have this just went into a real rant.
So I mean, you can. I mean, why not? Yeah? It pays the rent. They're a hit on Steam, and I think you can. I don't know.
If you'd like to write the content, I'll program it for you.
All right, so we only need. So you will be Q&A then, Mierage. You'll test the game for us, right? On quality. You'll be quality assurance. All right, and this is a shout out to all listeners. If you have a talented artist in there, we would like to collaborate on working on a great graphical interactive novel. Please contact us using contact at what is that? Fondas Gaming Channel? Google.com or something? Like what's your
YouTube? This channel you're now on watching this video.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be hard to find.
Exactly.
You found it. Congratulations.
Job openings are listed on the website www. No, all right.
This is not video game porn.
Oh dear Lord. Also, fair warning, everybody. This channel is not safe for work.
Oh,
it's a lot.
Is it a bit late?
Yeah.
Fair warning.
Yeah. Well,
although we do appreciate it if you're listening to this at work.
Yeah.
It's just go you.
Unless you work in the porn industry, then this channel is very much safe for work. or or if you're a construction worker. So enough for my part. Let's move on with the show, Fondas.
Let's do that. I want to introduce a new segment that we're going to be hopefully implementing into the show, which is the roleplay segment. Now, hello. We seem to have a technical problem.
Yeah, it's called JLP.
We seem to have an intruder in our channel here.
You watch the football, lads.
This is a problem. JLP, hello.
Yeah, be like a true Brit and exit, all right?
Oh wow! Too soon. I watched the best game of football. I'll come back to this. We're not allowed in the tournament anymore. We got kicked out because we left.
Yeah. Go back to your island, damn it.
So welcome.
There's no island chat, damn it.
We have a special guest.
JLP, we are currently recording the Axellent Gaming Show.
This is.
Brits have to ruin everything.
It's rather awkward, isn't it?
Look, we'll be out of the football soon. You won't have to see us anymore. Oh Lord! In that case, I'll depart.
Right, that will be great. We'll talk to you later, JLP.
Yeah,
I'd just like to say, buy my new hair products. Really cheap. You can follow me on MySpace and Twitter and Facebook. I'll leave the links below. Have a great show.
Thank you for your addition.
Thanks, One Pop Man.
Hey, you check out my new videos. They're all 1 second long. Nah, I'm off. Toodaloo.
Cheers, JLP. All right, so that accidentally happened.
We are currently not on Skype due to issues with Skype. So Discord was the second best.
And the issue being it's Skype.
The issue being it's Skype and misses certain features that it should have, like the ability to mute a certain someone.
Alright. So, Fondas,
Yes.
Oh my god, you have a new feature for this show!
I have a new feature for this show.
Wow, I'm so surprised!
Segment.
Please introduce it.
Let me tell you all about it and how it works. This is how it works. There are 3 characters that we're going to be playing as. You, me, and our guest, in this case, Mierage. We're going to be randomly appointed a character and a character trait and a scene to act out. There's only one interaction that is required of us, and that is for our guest to pick a genre. A genre of which our characters will come from.
Alright, so to summarize, you've got a role-playing game.
Yes, we've got a role-playing game. We're going to be acting out a scene for 5 minutes just for the lols.
Alright, that's our acting qualities.
That is our acting qualities, that is our target, just for the lols. And we'll see if it works out or if it's totally shit. And
if it works out, you'll get more of this.
And so if it's totally shit, you'll get even more of this. So, this is how it works. Mierage, of you, I need a genre. And you can pick out of... Do you know which genres to pick out of? Shall I call them? I will call them which genres to pick out.
Yeah, call them out.
I'll call them out. The first genre is fantasy. We then have sci-fi, internet culture, steampunk/pirate, nerds, video game culture, and history or historical genre. Those are 7 genres to pick out of. Do you have an idea?
Yeah, I'll go for fantasy. Yeah,
fantasy. All right.
Fantasy it is. All right.
Now I'll put this all into the very magic random generator. And we will find out that Fondas, which is me, will play as a overexcited wizard. Oh my god, I'm going to hold all these fireballs everywhere I can. It's going to be so amazing. Dandy here will play as a hipster catgirl.
What? Notice me, senpai!
That's we've generated from video game porn to just blatantly porn.
This is the first episode of a graphic novel. It's happening live.
Our guest, Mierage, will play the role of a frightened king. And the scene is in school recess in Hiroshima, right before it happens. And for those of you that know what's going to happen, well, a nuclear bomb is going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's
Google Hiroshima. Just
yeah. So take it away. Oh my god, my fire sense is tingling. I feel something is coming. Heat is in the air.
Oh, Fondas! Fondas!
No, not that heat! Not that heat! Heat is off! Heat is off! My king! My king! Heat is in the air!
Ah! Ah! Who are you?
I am a wizard king!
Mierage-sama, it's so hot! Meow!
Is she a cat? I'm allergic to cats. Take it away.
Oh dear.
Why is it here? Did you bring it here?
I found the cat gun.
Are
May I
you
turn it?
after my life?
Oh, the heat is off! Fondas-sama! Oh. Meow.
So my king, I feel the heat is coming, and while it is quite exciting, I fear that it might also be dangerous, like catastrophically dangerous.
I cannot hold myself any longer, nya.
Whatever will we do, my king? Whatever will we do?
Duck and cup.
Oh, Mierage-sama, I'll duck for you. Cover me.
I'm sorry. One second.
Nya.
1 second.
Nya.
Can someone take this cat girl away?
Take picture for Instagram, please. Nya.
My king, I feel it getting closer. I fear Axellent.
I don't know what to say anymore.
I'm going to explode, Nya.
The hipster cat girl is a bit too much.
I agree, my king. We should summon the cards and take her away.
We should take a look at the generator. Because I clicked it before the show and it said I was an omnipotent destroyer of worlds, and we were on a battlefield, and someone was a traitor and someone was a very nice fighter. And now this. At least
it's what you have to do.
Random.
It's random. That's the beauty of it.
It's random.
So that was a random generated scene, wasn't it?
Well,
we'll just audio edit the nuclear explosion in the end of the scene and call that the end.
Right now. Woo! All right. Well, that was certainly something.
That was the introduction to our graphic novel. We're still looking for a visual designer to add to the development team. If you found this very interesting, please let us know in comments. Otherwise, please don't Google my name.
Oh, senpai? Oh dear. Well, I'm going to need a small break after this to gather our thoughts again, and we'll be right back with Danny's usual segment.
Follow me on Instagram, yeah.
Oh dear. Burn it. Burn it. Burn it alive. Burn it all. We'll be right back. Well, we are currently back. And able.
And willing.
And willing. To go on to the next segment, which is the job section, the gaming job section, with your host, DandyBanterer. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh yes, because I haven't spoken enough
Yeah,
yet
you
on
got
the
sound
show.
effects as well.
Yay! Hello
Perfect.
there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I introduced a couple episodes ago the gaming job segment I want to speak about how to get into the gaming industry and, you know, how you have to do your applications and stuff like that. And we've covered a couple of things, and today I'd like to talk about Twitter in regards to the fact that I don't know if you use Twitter, I don't know what you use Twitter for, but a lot of companies use Twitter to post about the work options that they have and to look or to scout for people. You heard me right. If you're on Twitter, you have a possibility of being addressed by other people asking you if you'd like to work for their company. That's not sort of not a default thing, so it doesn't go that easy. But this is basically how it works. So you got a game company, right? And they have a Twitter page, which is usually, you know, used by a PR person, and that PR person sort of tries to show the nice face of the company using Twitter, because that's what Twitter is for. You know, next, obviously, for all the bad stuff that it's used for. And if you have a Twitter account, you can follow people and tweet with them and stuff like that. And following them basically opens up for you a news feed of all the things that they do. And many companies, believe it or not, actually have a Twitter feed dedicated to their job listings. So you can just basically sort of log in and go, you know, to your list if you have made one. I have made one, which basically sort of every day updates all the possible job options everywhere around the world of the people that I'm subscribed to. And what is very often the case is that these are not the places where you actually subscribe. You know, you don't actually do your application there. But what is fun is because there is a PR person on top of that Twitter page, you can tweet back with your questions, with your inquiries, you know, like if you have anything specific that you'd like to know about the job, and you will get answers back in Twitter. And that is very often a good tip on sort of introducing your personality or your person at the beginning, and to make you stand out a little bit more than, you know, the usual people who would do an application. I wouldn't advise to do this as sort of an actual thing, you know, like every time I do an application, I tweet people. But that is something you can take into consideration if you have more questions. Obviously, the advice would be to email companies, but if that exists, the option to tweet, and you use Twitter, you can also attract attention to your Twitter profile. If your Twitter profile is professional, you know, it sort of shows the type of person that you are in public, which is something that you really rarely can do during an application period. That's just my general tip for this episode. Try Twitter, checking out other companies, like the game companies that you know, and see if they have a job function there. And with that, I'd like to close off this segment.
Very good. Thank you, DandyBanterer.
My pleasure.
There is something I want to talk about, and that is basically about the game designers, the producers behind the game Payday 2.
You've been playing Payday 2.
I've been playing Payday 2, but I've also there's been some news involving this company, and I've been following it, and it made me feel good about the gaming world, the company, and how certain game designers and game design companies take their consumers seriously.
All right.
So here's the story. Basically, a year ago, Payday 2 and their Overkill, Starbreeze, five games all behind it. Five games being the publishers, Starbreeze being the company which houses Overkill being the actual designers of the game. They started implementing microtransactions for random loot drops, which basically safe openings. You could get a weapon skin or whatever from it, but you had to buy drills to open the safes, and the safes were dropped.
And that's like a focus part of the game, right?
It wasn't a focus part of the game. The game is becoming a better robber. Payday 2 being a game about robbing banks with friends.
All right.
The issue with it was that, when Payday 2 first came out, they stated that they will, quote, never implement microtransactions, unquote. Plus, they did something even worse. Those weapon skins did actually came with stats improvements for those weapons, so that people who bought those drills actually got better at the game than people that didn't buy those drills. which is another unwritten law that you shouldn't cross with microtransactions. Not only did they implement microtransactions, they did it in a terrible way. So what happened now? A year later, Overkill and Starbreeze Games bought out the shares that publisher 505 Games had. Reasoning for doing so is that they control their own future and their own policies. Apparently, putting that microtransactions in was the idea of their publishers to make more money.
Yeah, right. That's typically a publisher choice.
And because there was so many terrible consumer feedback on that choice, they bought up their own game. They bought up their own shares. They bought their own basically their own shares for $30 million. It was under okay conditions, terms and conditions, but it was a lot of money. And basically, just right after that, disabled all microtransactions. And made all the implementations free. So now you can, whenever a save drops, it's still in there. Saves do still drop, but you can immediately open it. You don't have to buy a drill for it anymore. So that is something that was largely applauded inside the Payday 2 community, and cheered up my faith in the game design world a bit again. Especially since they, from the beginning, said we are not going to implement microtransactions.
Right.
And now they make good on their word to not do that. They did also announce E3, announce Payday 3, and that's if you read in between the lines, because before that they didn't speak about Payday 3, but somewhere in the negotiations with 505 Games came to light that they promised 40% or like 40 million of the profits of Payday 3 to 505 Games, or 30% of their profits up to 40 million, was it? What I believe. So that immediately puts the light on the fact that Payday 3 is a thing and is being made.
All right.
So in this case, a small applause to Overkill and Starbreeze for this action. This service to their consumers. There's this service to their fans.
So that's like a compliment to the chef.
Absolutely, absolutely. That is a compliment. They shouldn't have done it in the first place, but doing this does show that they care, or at least care enough for their consumer base not to drop.
Yeah.
Mierage, are you a Payday player?
No. It's a bit like Left 4 Dead, right? So you have certain levels and you basically repeat them. No, it's not. It's fun when you're with friends, but I'm not really a fan. I wouldn't mind playing it if it was with you guys and someone else, like, oh, let's play a game. But I don't own the game.
Right.
Well,
but I agree with Fondas that removing the pay to win aspect from the game is a big step forward.
And it wasn't. The interesting thing is there is no reason for it because it's a co-op game. There is no fighting against each other. You are co-op against the enemy. You're co-op against hordes and hordes of policemen or gangsters. That's your whole thing. So you're not even fighting against each other. So putting something in like that in there is useless. To anger the player base in that way. I do have to say though, by the way, that until I believe the 4th of July, Payday 2 is free for everyone to play, including all DLCs. This is a bit of.
Is there apology or something?
It's something so, yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
So it's just free to play until that time, and then then you have to sort of pay the game.
Or you can just buy it with, like, for instance, Steam Summer Sale, like 90% off.
Really? So there is the option.
So there's the option. Payday 2
right?
did something good. It's there again. People applaud it. I will certainly be playing it again. With that, I do believe there was another proposition for a topic, which is VR for code of ethics concerning VR.
Yeah, this is sorely why we have you on the show, Mierage, because you're quite the research expert on this subject.
Well, expert is a big word. I was asked to introduce an extra subject, and I thought that was this was pretty interesting. Partially because I've been doing studying a lot of ethics at school lately, and this is a big hype thing within the gaming community. I mean, look at Oculus Rift with the backing on Kickstarter stuff.
So
I mean, people went crazy.
yeah, we're talking about VR being a big thing in the gaming world right now. Yes.
Yeah, VR being a big thing. And it's not just a big thing within gaming, but they are also talking about medical applications, therapy applications. I mean, the possibilities are they're out there. There are a lot of possibilities for this. But there was this article on frontiers in robotics and AI. Was an article by Michael Mandery and Thomas K. Metzinger, and they said that we should have a code of ethics for VR, for the use of VR.
Really?
Just like we have the Hippocratic Oath with medicine, and we have a nuclear safety pact with the international organization, the IAEA.
Well, isn't that taking it a bit far to put VR on the same aspects of a nuclear convention?
It's new technology, but the impact of the technology is pretty big. One of the references they make is to so basically what VR does is it's very immersive, and that can create sort of a disconnection with your physical self, with your body. And you had these instances of, and I experimented with those myself in deprivation. You have like the deprivation tanks where you don't have you can't really feel your own body anymore. You can't reference your own body anymore, which leads to the psychological effects are pretty hefty. So
I saw things in the article about things like people impersonating a character of a different shade of race, and then feeling less racially biased towards such persons. It's what the interesting thing about this article, what I got out of it, is that there is, and that was also the creator of the article, there is already a discussion about these kind of ethics. Well, basically what they say is people should get to know that VR shouldn't be hyped up as much. Don't hype up the good parts about VR so much, because and also state that the bad parts about VR aren't fully researched yet. So the long-lasting experiment and that short experience have already provided us with evidence that certain aspects of VR have a lasting effect on a person's life, and that person should be made aware of that fact. Which basically was the gist of the article, what I got out of it.
That's the motherboard article.
Which is quite interesting, because I have in the past created a serious game for military purposes where sort of VR immersion was important for overcoming post-traumatic stress disorder. And the idea was that moving through the visual representation of your depression, so to say, or the situation that you're going through, helps you actually sort of not only just relive it, because reliving things for PTSD people is not particularly the best solution to trigger a cure. Because whenever they relive their memories, the first thing they go like, I want to punch somebody. So, you want to avoid that. But within VR, you get the opportunity to create an environment, where you can gradually move into or up to that memory. And the gradual experience is the thing that people need a lot in this case, because instead of just being confronted by it like a slap, being in VR and visualizing that experience, walking through the experience physically, and slowly approaching towards this idea allows you to build up a defense for the possible effect that it might have of being confronted with it. So that is extremely interesting.
What is for you the most important takeaway from this article, Mierage?
Who are you asking right now?
Mierage.
Yeah, I think the what you noted, it's very cool technology, and it has a lot of a lot of uses. But we should be a bit we have to be hyped about it, but on a realistic way, we don't have to we have to avoid that we rush in without knowing the full effects, what it might do. And I think a sort of code of ethics is important in that case, and especially with digital technology, it develops so quickly, and proper rules and law usually lag behind. So a code of ethics from the developer's side, the guys developing VR, could be very useful.
Right.
In lack of rules.
Right, but I mean, I get that people like to think about the possibility of what could happen and therefore apply rules to such a situation. But the reality of it all is that you don't know what's going to happen until you've experienced that reality of the situation. So making rules in front of it is nearly impossible, and I would even argue that it is an oppression of free thought and content provision. I mean, if VR isn't even underway and people say you can't display violence, for instance, on VR because it might impact certain people, then you get on that same boat as violence on TV might affect certain people, or so it's
possibly. But the thing is that VR is a different experience than playing a video game or watching things on television.
It is, but then I do not want that creators that come up with things for VR are halted from creating stuff even before we know what the effects could be.
They're not halted.
No, that's the good thing
They're
about
not
it.
halted.
That's the good thing about it.
You can still, even with a code of ethics, you can research whatever you want, develop whatever you want, but you have to, at a certain point, you have to test what you're developing based on that code of ethics. If you're researching a new form of medication, and there is a point where you have to test it to make sure that it doesn't harm people before you're selling it en masse. So it's not a binding rule. It's it's a reference. Like, okay, how can we make sure we develop this but not create evil technology?
So how about something
that can harm people?
Something like this. Like, what if we give the freedom of development into the hands of the developer, but we do something similar like what in Europe is done with biological foods, for example? Like, there are organizations, respected organizations, who are allowed to state that something is or isn't biological, because they do the research on the fact that is the case. And we could do something similar with VR. Like, you would have sort of a board of ethics, a board of ethics in VR, and they could research a game and therefore state, give their seal of quality. We've played this game for over a week, and as far as we know, we cannot disconcern any problems with it, or stemming from it. In that case, you can still make your murder, rape, racist fantasy or whatever you want, and publish it on Steam. I don't care. No, Steam has lost that, but
no, well, maybe. I don't know what the rules of Steam are.
And you would simply lack the seal of quality that consumers can make their informed decision about.
Right. Well, that's the interesting thing, because if it's allowed or not, things will appear on the dark web. And the most powerful government can try to shut it down, but it will happen. So And what I did take away of the article as well, that the publishers of the article and the that are in for these ethics are themselves huge fans of VR and the possibilities of it. So that is very good. I mean, if a person that's just you know the kind of person, just the general, I hate violence in ... insert media here because ... is an insert generic complaint there.
It's sensitivity extremists.
Yes, exactly. Then it will come from a very different aspect. Those will be there. I hope those will be ignored.
Well, I have another question for Mierage, and this concerns about the development of VR and its future. So, together with some developer friends of mine, we have built up the large belief that VR is going to go okay. It's not going to skyrocket because why would you buy a VR machine other than to get a VR experience? But what are the VR experiences that will sell? And to us, the idea is that porn, believe it or not, and this is on a serious note here, will be a big seller for this because virtual reality porn is a very attractive experience for a lot of people. And more so than having your occasional concert viewing or whatever VR is used for.
Hasn't porn been like the leading industry in the decision of what kind of media became popular to begin? I mean, VCR became popular because porn industry took to VCR. Blu-ray won because porn took to Blu-ray. I mean, that's the porn industry has been a deciding factor in what kind of media does it and doesn't do it.
And the same goes for printing. Printing has also have a big history of growing because of the pornography industry, because people need quicker yet better of higher quality materials, to produce the material with, and the same went exactly with television and film. People need a particular quality of camera for stuff, and that market is always a consuming market. However, considering a code of ethics and the level of experience that people can have in virtual reality. And this is my question to you, Mierage. Where do you think we should draw the line in what is and what isn't allowed for the benefit of the promotion of this technology?
Well, I think one of the first rules of the code they're suggesting is that virtual reality should not cause lasting or serious harm to the subject. So, I mean, if you have a game that's so immersive that people just keep playing it, and they forget to eat or sleep or whatever. I mean, that's a point where you have to say, okay, well, this is maybe not such a good idea. But also influencing people.
You mean influencing them like politically or something?
Yeah. So with the example of playing as having an experience as someone from a different race, where you're more or less more accepting towards people of another race, you can also use it in a different way to
induce hate towards another race.
Yeah, exactly.
But
you can lower someone's empathy. If you would lower someone's empathy towards people with brown eyes, and you have this constant immersive VR experience where people with brown eyes are really fucking bastards, and you go out, and you go back into the streets, and you actually start punching people with brown eyes. I mean that's not a good thing. I mean that's where I would draw the line. Where you're actually trying to indoctrinate people.
Right, that brings us.
For me, that's a lot.
That brings us to an interesting segment, because one of the things in the article that was mentioned was that advertisements are maybe going to use this to use a new form of neural marketing to to unconsciously convince a lot of people to buy their products.
Yeah.
Which for me is quite annoying. I absolutely hate commercials in all shapes, way, or form. That for me is quite a scary part. I had to deal with commercials or with unconscious commercials in VR.
Yeah, but to
But there's also, Go ahead.
Right. Just to add a little bit on this, both my experience and at least my professional experience as well on this subject, coming back to the medical implementation of VR as I have developed, the research on this subject that we did ourselves shows that, like it or not, the effect can only actually be seen after weeks, if not months, of exposure to this subject. Because fact of the matter is, once the whole VR experience is over and a person walks out, there is literally a disconnect from the VR experience and from the real life experience, which is a bit similar to dreaming.
Yeah.
So, this code of ethics, I can understand, should be applied, or has a reason to exist or to come into existence, but it has to take in consideration that people still have a very good capability of dissecting the difference between reality and virtual reality.
I think that I partially agree with you, but I really think that the level of immersion with VR. I mean, you've all seen the video clips of guys in a shopping mall. They do the Oculus Rift roller coaster thing, and someone gives them a little push, and they go bananas. Even though they know I'm standing in a shopping mall, I'm not in a roller coaster. Someone just put a TV screen on my head, put on some headphones, and this is just a game. But the fact that
yeah, it's. I mean, I get what you say. When you look at those videos, you can always see the participants. What? What?
Carry on. My audio just went off. I don't hear Mierage anymore.
Me neither. Mierage, are you still here?
It says here that he's continuously on. And with yours it says that he's off. So something went...
Right.
Ugh. Poor Mierage. I think something might be wrong with his internet connection.
You said I'll game for a couple hours.
There we are again. Hello? Mierage? Now I hear you again.
Yep.
Yeah, alright, yeah. You just felt completely out of sync. Wow, we just lost connection with you entirely. But
okay.
Alright, now you're back. Alright.
Interesting. So we were on the topic of VR.
Yeah. And Mierage came with the example of the shopping mall.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so wow, you missed all that. Okay.
No, we did got a lot of example of the shopping mall.
Yeah. But it ended sort of shortly after you talked about people getting pushed and them having a response to that.
Yeah. So the thing is that because you also physically react to the VR environment, the VR environment being so immersive that even on a physical level, you're experiencing this virtualness. I think because even those regular senses are engaged, it's harder to after a while to disengage from this virtual reality. Same goes with sensory deprivation experiments and tanks, where if you get immersed for a couple of hours, you can actually feel disconnect from your body.
So it is indeed an interesting thing, because indeed I have seen a couple of videos of people doing these VR experiences, and the emotional reactions to these experiments are quite hefty, in contrast with just playing a game on the screen. People are genuinely scared in a scary game, or and with their bodies genuinely react to what they see happening in front of their eyes.
Yeah.
Of course, one of the earliest examples is, well, there's keys going on everywhere. One of the earliest examples is, of course, the VR experience in which someone is beheaded by a guillotine.
Really?
In
the experience.
In the experience.
What?
That is the entire experience. You know, people.
Who made that up?
People put on the VR glasses, and basically, what the experience is, it is a 3D world in which you are about to be executed in a medieval times.
Wow, that's pretty heavy.
So you're being led up the stairs. You know, you're being put down on your knees. So you can look around. So you can look around. You can look at the crowd. You can look on top and see the guillotine knife hanging there. You can look down. You can see the basket. You look to your side. You see the executioner. And you don't really hear what's going on, but in the back of your head, you hear someone speak and stuff. And in the end, they cut the rope. And you see the knife coming down, with your head then rolling into the basket and slowly blacking out, like within 5 seconds. And people were genuinely scared in that experience. They were looking around, like, okay, this is pretty cool. Oh, that's a knife, all right. I think I'm not going to like this experience. And you see the knife going loose, and they're going, ah! Oh, I never want to do that again. I never.
Yeah.
They not take their glasses off. Never want to do that again.
Yeah. No, but that's. I mean, if you're talking about a code of ethics, that's something I would say. Okay, you don't do such experiments, because that's basically putting someone through a fake execution.
Yeah,
a mock execution.
That could be very strong trauma that actually have an effect in real life.
Yeah.
It is interesting, because indeed in that split, they know it's an experience, and they know they're being led up the stairs and being put on their knees. They know it. They talk about it being an experience. They know it for sure. But when they see that knife going loose and coming towards them in a split second, you actually see them believing that for a moment. Even if they know that it's just an experience, their brains just haven't caught up with the fact that they know it is an experience.
Yes, and that's why we should have a code of ethics.
Yeah, and this is actually a very good example for it to be applied.
Yeah.
Well, but the experiment themselves is again then very interesting for such a thing, and does need to happen, because we do need to know what you can do and what you can't do, and there's no other way to do that than just to do that.
Yeah. Not sure if I agree with that, because in reality we don't put people through mock executions unless we are a terrorist organization. So if you design a game in which you put people through mock,
we've lost you again, Mierage.
This is such a pity.
Yeah, this really is a pity.
Because actually, I really like this episode. This is a really good episode.
And we're back again. Skipping some technical difficulties, which we hope will not be produced for the coming 20 minutes when we try to finish this episode. So let's go on just to games we've been playing this week, or these last couple of weeks, or these last 3 months actually. So let summarize the games we've been playing the last 3 months. First, let's start at Dandy. Dandy, what games have you been playing?
Wow, the last 3 months. That's
the highlights of the last 3 months.
The highlights of the last 3 months. Wow. Looking back.
When you were young.
Yes. 3 months ago. Much time has passed since then. So, the highlights of the last 3 months will be that I've played a lot of Witcher. Witcher 3. I finally sat down and carried on with the main quest of the story. And I can confirm and acknowledge that it's still a very excellent gameplay experience. Especially now that I get to play it with the Steam controller, which is somewhat of a new experience for me as well, since I'm played The Witcher since Witcher 1, and I've always played with a mouse and keyboard, so I'm sort of used to that control. But the Steam controller is very doable, especially because you can modify the actual controller. And that allows for, action adventure, third person is usually very much a console thing. So I'm very happy that has been implemented as well, so I can play it a little bit like a console player, since I must admit that half of me is that. And other than that, there are some other things that I've been doing. I have worked on the expansion on the Renowned Explorers games, which some of you might know was a particular series that got very hyped up by Total Biscuit, so we're still very grateful for that. And the expansion came out, and I've played that as well. And in case you're interested, my voice is in the game, and I've been voicing a couple of characters. Among them is Charles Darwin. So please look forward to finding Mr. Darwin, because he's not actually particularly easy to find in the game. So that I've been playing it, and I wouldn't be myself if I couldn't, with all honesty, say, it's a very nice game to play. It is a strategy game. It takes some of your time. It's not a very game that sort of attracts all your focus, because it is sort of a slow-paced strategy game. But it is very fun to play next to everything else that you're doing. If you're, for example, watching YouTube videos, or if you're just spending your time in that way, and it's just a very enjoyable game universe. So please check that out. And and I couldn't finish off this section anymore with the fact that ever since I moved together with Fondas, I've taken out the old Hnefatafel game, which, for those who don't know, is basically Viking chess. And we've set it up here in the house, and basically Fondas and I play it like two madmen dominating, the sort of highly intelligent madman, where we just basically set a step and then wait, a couple of days or a couple of moments until somebody else sets another step, and slowly Fondas believes that he's crushing me. And I'd like to keep him in that belief.
No, I am crushing you.
Of course, Fondas.
That's just how it goes, man. You can keep denying it, but your final day has been counted.
Yep, and as long as you believe that, I am still having the upper hand. Ha ha! Ha ha! Oh, I don't believe myself either. Alright, so that was me. Mierage, how about you?
I haven't actually been playing games for quite a while. I've been watching a lot of games.
Which have you been watching?
I've been watching Hearts of Iron 4 a lot. Which I want to play it. It looks a lot of fun. And I've been watching my old Wargame Red Dragon thingies for a while. So yeah, and what was actually pretty cool is that one of the casters I'm watching, who does reviews of matches, he actually started a charity tournament where they collected almost $1,000 for cancer research, and they're having a wargame tournament.
Really?
Yeah.
So they're having war for the betterment of mankind.
Pretty cool. Yes.
Wow.
But what's cool is that they're actually using their viewer base and the gaming community to, well, the gaming community gets a tournament, the viewers get a tournament to watch, and the researchers get some money. So I think that's pretty cool. It's an interesting turn in the whole streaming gaming thing.
Right, and indeed we're streaming for wargaming.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about wargaming. What is wargaming? Because if there's somebody here who could tell what wargaming is,
yes,
it's gotta be you.
If only there was somebody that we knew who could explain us what wargaming was.
So Wargame is a strategy game in which basically gives you command of units from the Cold War era up to the 90s, with factions.
Did we lose Mierage again?
Aww. It's such a pity.
We lost Mierage again. That really is a pity. We really don't know what to do about it. I guess we'll wait for him to just come back, and I'll go tell what my what I've been doing these last couple of weeks.
Well, Fondas, please explain to us what you have been doing this last couple of weeks.
So what I've been doing is well, obviously, Stellaris came out, Hearts of Iron 4 came out. Whoa! Hello, Mierage.
Are you back again?
Oh.
You just.
I was speaking to myself again.
Yeah. The last 1.5 minutes of your conversation just got summarized in like 2 seconds of your of the connection of your connection running up to ours. So what we heard was room.
Okay.
But you were talking about wargaming.
Yeah. What's the last thing you heard?
After the charity event.
Yeah, we got up to the charity.
Okay, yeah, you asked me what Wargame is. Wargame is a RTS set in Cold War era, and you use pretty historically accurate units from that time period, and you battle other players on maps. Yeah, basically that.
So is this...
The game looks pretty sweet.
What I know of it is more than just a simple RTS like in the forms of StarCraft or of Red Alert, and more like entire engagements of units.
Yeah, but you know, when you think of your classic RTS like Red Alert or StarCraft, but it's actually your base building, and with Wargame you're not base building. You basically select the force you're going to use in your battle, and you battle with those forces, but they're limited in supply, so you can't just spam stuff. Of course you can spam stuff, you know, that's always an option, but you're going to run out of units pretty quickly.
Right, so it's also a struggle of who can have more units come out live after a engagement.
Yeah, and basically, pretty economically, which units give the most bang for their buck. If you have a tank that costs 140 points, but can kill, let's say, 400 points worth of units, then that tank is very much worth it. If you buy a 200-point tank and it gets killed by a 50-point tank, then it's not worth it.
Exactly. So it's also a battle of resources, not in the form of gold on the map, but resources in the form of military equipment you can spend and manpower you have.
Yeah.
Which is actually also very realistic when you think about it.
So that's the whole point, I believe, of wargaming. It tended to be somewhat realistic, or actually simulating that in the form of an RTS. So, very well. I want to say I've been playing The Witcher 3, but DandyBanterer already said that. But I've been playing The Witcher 3 DLC expansions, which are totally worth it. If you haven't bought them yet and you've played The Witcher 3, what are you doing listening to this show? Go buy those DLCs and play them. They are fantastic. They pick up where The Witcher 3 left off, make it grand, make it enjoyable. You spend another 40 hours in the Witcher world thinking not a minute of this was wasted. It's excellent. Other than that, you said Hearts of Iron 4 Mierage. I've been playing that too. first as fascist Netherlands and then now as Allied Britannia. Both are very fun but play very differently. So Hearts of Iron 4 is a paradox game. I mean, go look at it at my channel. If you're looking at this video, you probably have seen or will see a video of this. It's a paradox game. There's a map, there's units on it, and you have to lead your nation. In this case, through the Second World War. And its political dominance in that. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been really interesting to see what Paradox has done with this newest iteration of their title. Other than that, I've been playing Stellaris. Man, that game is a lot of fun. The game is enjoyable. The game is immersive.
That game is beautiful.
The game is beautiful.
Like, not visually per se, but just as the whole experience of playing it, that is just beautifully, excellently executed.
It's again also a Paradox game.
But isn't it that I've heard some criticism on Stellaris that compared to other Paradox games, you get a lot less. It's not the complete package that other Paradox games are. From when I was watching some people play Stellaris, it quickly falls into sort of quickly research this, research that, and then continue.
Well, that's the difference between playing a Paradox game in multiplayer or single player. There's really a big difference because if you're playing a single player, you're playing it for the experience or to get an achievement in some cases. When people play multiplayer, it's all about being better than your human opponent, and your human opponent always acts differently than your AI opponent. That's true. It becomes more of a competitive game instead of a simulation. Like all Paradox games, when they come, you have to remind that Paradox continuously supports their games with a lot of DLCs. So to compare a Paradox game that has 25 DLCs to a Paradox game that just came out, you have to remember that Paradox game that with 25 DLCs also came out without DLCs and was the same. I mean, the main aspects were flushed out, and the rest will come later. You know that is how it works. If you're playing a Paradox game, I must say that Stellaris did break all Paradox first day sales records. So a lot of new people were introduced to the format of a Paradox game, and that can be that's just the formula with which they work. So it's reckoned that's where the criticism comes from.
Yeah.
But you hear me speaking about it, I will defend. There's not a lot. I will be fanboyish too, but Paradox in their games, in this case Stellaris, I will defend it to the death.
No, but I'm not saying the game sucks. I'm just saying, hey, I also heard people say this.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And from what I was,
those are valid. Those are valid complaints. But I'm 110% sure that Paradox will solve any issues. That is sure, and that in 4 years' time, this game will be completely revamped twice. So that's just how they do it. And in the meantime, you can start enjoying yourself with Hearts of Iron 4. So that actually does bring us to the end of this the rebirth of the Axellent Gaming Show.
Rebirth, wow.
Rebirth, yes. Excellent rebirth.
Excellent rebirth. An excellent return. We have not axed the show yet. Guys, we're still online.
So let's close it down. Thank you all for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it.
And thank you very much for joining us, Mierage.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
It was fun.
And we will see you all next time. Goodbye.